Well, hello once again, and welcome to the breaking news edition of Get Me The Brandy. Dan Potash, joined by the voice of the Penguins, Josh Getzoff. And buddy, I don't think that we felt that last night's, or I should say Thursday showing for Tristan Jarry against the Montreal Canadiens would be his last in black and gold. But as we all woke up this morning, we found out that Tristan is now a member of the Edmonton Oilers, one part or one player of a four-player deal that has just transpired well, before we could get lunch.
Yeah, that was a crazy start here to the end of the work week for some, maybe just the beginning for others in the terms of Kyle Dubas and Penguins management, but definitely an eye-popping trade, Dan. I found it interesting. I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast, another great podcast out there, when then I came across the Elliot Friedman tweet that this was happening. So it was like listening to his pre-recorded voice while seeing him tweet about the Penguins was a little bit of an out-of-body experience. But here we are, and that you just saw on your screen. And just for the breakdown, it's Jarry and Sam Poulin going to Edmonton, and Stuart, Skinner, Brett Kulak, and a 2029 second coming to Pittsburgh. So pretty big trade day. Like as far as players involved, the long rumored speculation of there being interest from Edmonton in Jarry, and it finally coming to be reality here today.
Yeah, I think we heard the name Jarry and the Edmonton Oilers being tossed around a couple weeks ago. I think Kevin Weeks from NHL Network was the first one to put something out on social media, unofficially the first one. So it had everybody kind of thinking. But what was your first thought when this trade came about? Because again, there have been, his name has come up a few times, and the thought that maybe a change of scenery would be something special for Tristan.
Yeah, I think the first thought I had was probably what a lot of people had, but I say this with the preface of, the present maybe sometimes conflicts how you felt previously, right? About a certain player. Because right now the present for Tristan Jarry is really good. He's 9-2-2
Yeah.
on the year. Last night was the first regulation loss he's had since returning from that injury that kept him out a few weeks. So he's been lights out essentially, and clearly the Penguins' number one goalie in this year, where they've exceeded expectations so far and are right in the mix in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference, closing in on game number 30 this weekend with San Jose. So I feel like that part of it makes it a little bit surprising that he's going to go now. But the other side of it is, and I know Phil Bourque and I have talked about this a lot, like off camera and just in general conversation at a hot stoving, that this has been the thought that a lot of people have had for the last year plus, right? Like after Jarry's struggles last year, it was, oh, how are they going to move this guy? Can they move this guy? And I think when you remove yourself from what he's been able to do this season, and you think about the fact that the Penguins moved him with no salary retained, picked up a younger goaltender in Stuart Skinner, who's on the final year of his deal, a veteran defenseman. They get a second round pick as well. This is pretty good work by Kyle Dubas. And for Edmonton's perspective, Dan, I mean, it has to work. It has to. It's a lot of pressure on Tristan Jarry because he now has to have his best hockey in front of him, backstopping the Oilers, who obviously have Stanley Cup dreams this year.
It's also, if you will, a return home for Tristan, and I wonder if that will make things a little bit more comfortable for him. Still lives on a farm in Alberta, if I'm correct. And he played for the Oil Kings, won a championship, a Mem Cup with them back in 2014. I remember I had a chance to visit with him the season after he won it, and thought the world of the kid at the time, a kid. You could tell that he was talented. He was hungry to, move up in his career or move forward with his career. But he lives in Alberta, and I wonder if, maybe going back to that area and playing for the Oilers will be a good thing for him. I guess we'll find out in time, maybe as soon as, I don't know, Tuesday night when the Oilers come here to play the Penguins. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and how about the little wrinkle that, I mean, we all know it, right? Sid's 5 points away from passing Mario. Wouldn't it be crazy if it was a goal against Tristan Jarry on Tuesday
Oh
night? I mean,
boy.
it's not out of the realm of possibility, but you're right. I mean, I think for him, there's a lot of familiarity, and I'm sure, if he could have chosen a spot to get moved to for leaving Pittsburgh, and I don't know how badly, if at all, he was hoping to leave the Penguins, but if he was looking for a fresh start, it probably would be a place like Edmonton, where, as you mentioned, he has that junior success. He has the familiarity with the people there, the surroundings there. And also, I mean, he's leaving a generational talent in Sidney Crosby, or I guess duo in Crosby and Malkin, to play with the next duo across the league in Draisaitl and McDavid. So I think that aspect too is probably exciting for him going out there. And there's no question he's the number one guy going to Edmonton. So for him, it's a huge opportunity. The spotlight's going to be hot. I was kind of joking earlier with somebody that you look at a picture of Stuart Skinner and you're like, wow, he's only 26 years old. But I guess that's what the Canadian media does to you. It's like being president of the United States. You just age despite what your age is in real life. So Stuart Skinner, hopefully brings the facial hair to Pittsburgh, and we get a little Yukon Cornelius situation between the pipes here for the Penguins in times for Christmas.
By the way, as of the morning practice earlier here in Cranberry, both Skinner and Kulak are not on the ice. The Oilers were in Detroit last night and then are playing the Maple Leafs in Toronto tomorrow. So we'll see how soon they arrive here in town. But at least they're in the same time zone here with the Penguins.
Right.
I had mentioned that Jarry played for Edmonton, the Oil Kings, a few years ago, but he grew up in British Columbia, just to kind of clean that up. But your thoughts on his career with the Penguins as a whole? And as you mentioned, there have been some highs, two-time All-Star, over 20 shutouts, 22, if I'm correct. I know that people will think, okay, his play as of late, this season, maybe last season, but overall, what were your thoughts about what he was able to do as a Penguin?
I mean, I think when you look at him, at the end of the day, he was a second-round pick who turned out to be a pretty good goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, you mentioned the All-Star nods. The thing for me that'll be my lasting memory of him is when he was at his absolute rock bottom, which of course was last year, when he goes down to Wilkes-Barre and does the AHL conditioning stint and kind of becomes an afterthought in the Penguins goaltending cycle. He came back up here last mid-March, early March, I think it was March 9th, and the record was 17-7-4 from that point forward till last night, counting that game against the Canadiens on Thursday. So what that shows me is, if anyone wants to question the character of this guy, they're kind of out of line, because he clearly has a strong backbone and he clearly can handle being faced with some of the hardest moments in his career and coming back stronger on the other side. So, you and I obviously know him personally and wish him the best, but except when he plays the Penguins, which apparently could be as early as Tuesday night. But yeah, I do think that, you look at the body of work, he was a good and above average goaltender during his time with the Penguins. And really, statistically, when you talk about games played and wins, he's up there in franchise history as far as some of the most successful goalies.
Let's move on to the other member of the Penguins that is now going to call Edmonton home, and Sam Poulin, and former number one pick back in 2019. When you look at his numbers in Wilkes over the last 2 to 3 seasons, here's a guy who's hit double digits in goals scored, and you were kind of like, okay, every season he's going to turn the corner. He's ready. He gets the call up. And we were just kind of waiting for that same player that we saw at the AHL level to appear in the NHL level. And 15 games with the Penguins over the course of a couple of years, it just never seemed to happen for him here.
Yeah, and you're right, Dan. I mean, this is a guy we were rooting for him, right? He overcame some mental health struggles, as well as you mentioned, and just kind of jumped back into the lineup and found himself, I think, maybe due to some of those struggles, missing a little bit of time and development. But to his credit, he has performed when he's been in the American Hockey League. I mean, 2 points shy of 100 in his career with the Baby Pens, and that's in not that much games. I think like 130 or so games played with Wilkes-Barre Scranton. So he's been a productive forward down there, but like a few guys that I think, unfortunately, the Penguins have in their system, he's great when he's in Wilkes-Barre, and he's just hasn't been able to take that next step that allows him to not just be in the NHL, but stick in the NHL and have those kind of pop plays and noticeable moments that can, get him to be a regular in a National Hockey League lineup. I think he has the size for it. I think he has the frame for it. And honestly, I think he has the mindset for it. It just hasn't all come together for him on the ice in an NHL game. And, maybe that opportunity comes in Edmonton, because he'll be a depth guy there, and he'll probably be a similar role as he was here as far as bouncing back and forth between the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League, but he'll get an opportunity. There's no question because it's a little bit more of a grinding type game that some of the teams out west can play, and I think Poulin's style could be suitable for that. So another guy we wish all the best, and crazy to think he's the lone remaining first round pick of the Jim Rutherford era, and now is gone, and that doesn't seem that long ago. But when you stack it up to the more recent picks, he definitely kind of fell deeper and deeper down the depth chart of Penguins prospects.
Josh, let's quickly touch on what the Penguins get in return. They do get a second-round pick in 2029. Once again, Kyle Dubas just continues to stockpile all kinds of draft opportunity for the Penguins as we move forward, or the Penguins move forward in the next few years. But Stuart Skinner, veteran goaltender from Edmonton. I actually passed this note along to you this morning. I just did a quick little dive into social media as far as trying to find out a little bit more about him. He's one of 9 children, and everyone, all the siblings, have a name that starts with the letter S. And I think his mom and dad both have names that start with the letter S. So I guess we'll see what he brings to the table
did there.
here in Pittsburgh. Here's a guy who went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, so he's definitely got experience.
Absolutely. I mean, he's played in a pressure cooker there in Edmonton too, and he's done that. So and he's an Edmonton kid, so he had all those kind of angles. Yes. Coming in. The thing again that I mentioned earlier that really jumps out to me, there's 2 things with him. One is his age. He's 26. So like there's again an opportunity here. You look at Artur Shilovs is 24. He's only 26. They're both on expiring contracts. So if somebody wants to really stake their claim and get a deal and stick around, there's more than enough runway left in this season, especially if the Penguins are to go on a playoff run and make an appearance in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that one of those 2 guys could have a say in that and ultimately get themselves a contract beyond this year here in Pittsburgh. And I know everyone's all excited about the possibility that Sergei Miroshov could be coming up or Yoel Blomqvist, but I think it's going to be Skinner and Shilovs here for the foreseeable future. And obviously injuries, nobody knows what could happen on that front. And I'm sure there's maybe more transactions down the line for the Penguins, but these 2 seem to be the answers, or at least the immediate solution in goal. But I think Skinner, it's funny. I saw a clip of him the other night. His final game would ended up being as an Oiler on Thursday in that win the Oilers had, as you mentioned, before going to Toronto in Detroit. And he said that he feels as locked in and confident as he has all year. So what a time to get him. We just picked him up after that. So he's had his struggles. They've been well documented. Obviously this year, the Oilers in general have had their struggles. But I'm excited to see him, join the fold here by all accounts. And I talked to some people out in Edmonton earlier today. Both him and Kulak are members of the Great Guys Club, not the good guys, the Great Guys Club. So we always invite those guys into our room here. And I know from your and my perspective, it's always fun to have those kind of personalities around. So looking forward to getting to know him and seeing what he can bring here between the pipes for the Penguins.
All right, Josh, finally, let's talk about Brett Kulak. And we found out after the deal that Matt Dumba had been placed on waivers. So a defenseman on the way out, a defenseman on the way in. And this defenseman, like Skinner, is also from the Edmonton area. So another guy that's moving to another team after playing for, I would think, his childhood team.
Yeah, and also a guy that maybe a little bit full circle for when it comes to Kulak was drafted in Pittsburgh back in 2012. So I think that's kind of a cool little wrinkle for him coming back here. Dependable left-handed side defenseman. He's a left-handed shot. He was picked up from Montreal. And we remember that Montreal defensive group. They beat the Penguins in the bubble back in 2020 or 2021, whatever year it was. And that was the Shea Weber, the Jeff Petrie, the Brett Kulak. And they really gave the Penguins all they could handle. And I think Kulak, in a depth role as a veteran presence on the blue line brings a lot, but the Dumba move had to happen because with Kulak coming on board, it was a bit under the radar before the Penguins game on Thursday, but Jack St. Ivany was activated off injured reserve and was ready to, be a healthy, active member of the roster. So they were 24 players with bringing in Kulak and Skinner. So somebody had to be waived or moved or whatnot. And it sounds like Matt Dumba is going to be the choice there. So I think that just makes it a little bit more interesting. Like, could we see from seemingly out of thin air a couple days ago, a defensive pairing of Brett Kulak and Jack St. Ivany this weekend? not out of the realm of possibility. Like they're both healthy
Yeah.
now and available. So things can change in a heartbeat in the National Hockey League, but I'm interested to see how it all plays out. I think Kulak, though, on the surface, nothing flashy, but you're getting a dependable left-handed shooting defenseman that can play deeper in your lineup, probably, add to what's already been a pretty strong penalty kill for the Penguins, and just give them another veteran body, to utilize for Dan Muse moving forward.
So the dust is beginning to settle, or is it? No
For
morning
now.
skate tomorrow for the Penguins with the afternoon game, so we will not have the opportunity to meet the two newest members of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pretty good chance that we'll see them in action, if not tomorrow, Sunday afternoon. Once again, no morning skate, so it'll be interesting and kind of fun that maybe we'll get to see them play before we get a chance to speak with them about becoming members of the Penguins. And then, as we already mentioned, Tuesday, Edmonton, Jarry, and Poulin possibly coming to Pittsburgh as well. That's going to do it from the Penguins media room, which will soon be filled with members of the media. I would think that Dan Muse will speak, whether it's in here or in the Penguins room, but we'll continue to get player reaction as it pertains to today's trade news. Josh Getzoff, once again, thank you so much for joining us on such short notice.
Hey, Dan, anything for you, anything for Get Me The Brandy podcast, and mostly anything for the Penguins fans. We love them.
Oh, Lord Stanley, get me the brandy.